Fresh off his Tony win in 2024 for Merrily We Roll Along, Jonathan Groff comes back to Broadway in Just in Time. It's a new musical about the life and tunes of the legendary Bobby Darin. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
Jonathan, so good to see you.
Paul, so good to see you too.
Back on the boards.
Oh my God, so excited.
So quick.
So quick.
You just won a Tony, you're back.
I know, I can't get enough.
This is what we demand. Every season, a new Jonathan Groff show.
Done, I'm there.
So we're at the Brill Building, and you're playing Bobby Darin, and this is actually, you're gonna walk in the footsteps of this man a little bit. This is where it kind of all happened for him.
Wow, this is like free research. Thank you, Paul.
Well, we like to treat you well.
Yeah, I appreciate
So
it.
can we walk in?
Yes.
And I'm gonna show you some stuff.
Let's go.
All right, let's go in.
Let's do this.
So this is the Brill Building, as you know, and this was sort of the iconic building where every major songwriter had offices, right? And they came here, and Bobby Darin himself, as a young man, probably walked through this beautiful,
Wow, that's so
golden,
cool.
through those doors.
It is beautiful.
To try to sell some songs and write some songs. I mean, it's incredible to be actually playing a real guy who's walked these streets, isn't it?
Totally. Thank you for bringing me here. This is
You don't have to
super
keep
cool.
thanking me.
But it's so cool.
We're on the 9th floor of the Brill Building in this beautiful corner office. This is actually the office of John Gore, who is the chairman and CEO of John Gore Organization and owner of Broadway.com and The Broadway Show. This was once the office of Bobby Darin.
Whoa.
According to my sources, maybe 1963. I think he started TM Music, like a music company.
Yes.
And that's the year he got an Oscar nomination.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was probably like a real height of his career moment, like overlooking Times Square.
He's with Sandra Dee at that time.
Yeah, I'm
as
sure
well.
she was in here. And we're just, a block from Circle and Square Theater.
Wow.
Where you're playing Bobby Darin every night. This is a real New Yorker, this guy. What's it like walking, the steps of a man like that?
I know, it's interesting because Bobby Darin was this playboy crooner.
Yeah.
I'm, from Amish country, Pennsylvania. Like, in some ways, we couldn't be more opposite. And yet, from 7 years ago, when
Yeah.
I started singing his music at the 92nd Street Y and this
Yeah.
thing, I felt this kind of primal connection to him as a performer. And I think that what I connect to him most is this kind of passion and love for the audience and the need to perform. And then his music, I am fascinated. I mean, he came onto the scene with Splish Splash, which is kind of like a
Yeah.
late 50s
Yeah.
pop tune. And then he took a left turn and went kind of like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis were
Yep.
like the decade before him.
Yeah.
So after getting that pop hit, he then went into standards with his album.
But then many left turns. His career
Many
went
left
past
turns.
so many paths.
Yes, and then it was by the time it was the late 60s, early 70s, he was into the whole folk scene.
Yeah.
And so I also really connected with his ambition of finding a connection to all of those different places musically. He really did it all.
Someday, I don't know how, I hope she'll hear my plea. Some way, I don't know how, she'll bring her love to me.
His life story is, wow. He died so young, 37.
Yeah.
It's very easy to look at the story in kind of sad terms. I don't know if that's what we're getting in your Broadway musical. What is it like digging into the story, and how do you look at his story?
When we start the show at Circle in the Square, people are coming into a kind of immersive nightclub environment. When we start the show, I'm beginning as myself in 2025 with this audience right now in this theater. As we were developing the show, that felt like kind of the most essential way to start the piece because of his kind of superpower of being in the present moment. I think part of his ability as a performer to be so extremely present was because of kind of the most essential piece of his life story, which is he was born with a weak heart.
Yeah.
When he was 8 years old, he got rheumatic fever, had several bouts with that, and then overheard the doctor tell his mom he wouldn't make it past the age of 16. From 16 to 37, in his mind and in his heart, he was living on borrowed time. And so he had this ambition to make it as fast as he possibly could and to do as much as he possibly could, before the clock ran out, and it was constantly at the front of his brain. Had essentially a kind of nervous breakdown in the middle of his 30s, and got rid of everything in his life, and got a trailer and moved to Big Sur, and had a kind of truly like spiritual awakening. There's like almost like too much to even fit into one evening. There's so much happening in his life story, but we try to address all the essential beats, and we also have this live band on stage, so it feels kind of like the Copacabana, but another sort of essential purpose for having the band there is you feel the thrust of his life expressed through his musical journey. Even just from listening to the music alone, that arc and that story are there.
You know, it was a period of time where a lot of Broadway songs crossed over, right?
Yeah.
Like Mac the Knife won Record of the Year, and it won him he was the Chappell Roan, Best New Artist of that year, right?
Yes.
Bobby Darin was the Chappell Roan of 1961 or whatever.
59, yeah.
1959.
He was the Chappell Roan of that year.
Yeah. Just in Time is from Bells Are Ringing,
Yeah.
one of my favorite musicals.
Yep.
And Artificial Flowers,
Yes.
a little known Tenderloin
Yes, the
song.
Tenderloin,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
We really
So-
tried to find a place for Artificial Flowers in the show, but we couldn't find a spot for it. I know.
Just enough time.
Maybe on like it's a deleted deep cut or something, but that song is so incredible. But yeah, even what he did with Mac the Knife is like,
Oh my God.
that is actually such a great kind of perfect encapsulation of who he was as an artist, taking that song from Three Penny
Yeah.
Opera and jazzing it up, and the kind of like relentless key changes and the way that he swung that song and the kind of like primal passion that he put into performing. There's this clip of him doing Mac the Knife on the Ed Sullivan Show that I'm obsessed with, that I was watching with Shannon, the choreographer, as we're like figuring how to articulate the movement in the show, and he's just like, he's an animal.
And now Maggie eats spins just like a sailor. Could it be our boss John Southern Man?
I feel like you timed it perfectly. I feel like you were like, when I turn 40, I want to be in tech of a brand new Broadway musical, because that's where you'll be, right?
Talk about it, Paul.
Right before previews start.
I'm like such a weird, not weird, but I guess maybe specific person in that if I could have anything for my birthday, my 40th birthday,
Yeah.
it would be to be teching a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
I said a dream lover, so I don't have to dream alone.
We're talking about Bobby Darin, who had a limited life. You already talked about living in the moment and living every moment of his life and his early death. I wanted to ask you about Gavin Creel,
Okay.
who I know we both had friendship, and you had a very beautiful relationship with Gavin.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, he helped you come out of the closet,
Yes,
right? I mean,
big
helped you with
time.
that journey. When we think about Gavin, I like to think that Gavin lived such a full life.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what was it like losing Gavin, and what is it like telling this story? And is there any sort of connection there for you?
Oh my God. Well, like yeah. He changed my life. I'd come out of the closet personally,
Yep.
but I had not, there'd been no occasion for me to announce it publicly.
Right.
And we were dating, and he was like so out. He was doing hair at the time, and he had organized these
Buses to
buses,
DC,
yeah,
yeah.
through Broadway Impact, the organization that he co-founded. And I remember like we were on the buses, and we were like he was painting the like the peace sign on my cheek with the cast of hair, and we were all down there. And I really remember the moment of looking over at him with literally a bullhorn, and feeling like, okay, am I gonna it was such an essential moment. It was because of who he was and how out and how vocal and how brave and like fearless and externalized he was, and like am wanting to kind of try to be as brave as he was. But it was also just like the love that I was feeling for him, and feeling like even like it performing as a need. So the need that I feel when I perform, like the joy that I have of doing that, feeling love like that for the first time, like mind-blowingly meant more to me than even, because at that time it was 2009, coming out of the closet, it was like sort of an unspoken or maybe sometimes spoken thing that you were sacrificing something in your career if you were going to come out publicly. And I remember looking at him and feeling like I would rather feel this feeling than ever be on a TV show or do a movie like this. This is so much more meaningful to me. And so I owe him that. And I'm so grateful that we got to talk about that many times, even after we had like broken up. And yeah, it's such an unbelievable loss. That memorial was so insanely beautiful.
Yeah.
And Sarah said in her speech Sarah Bareilles, yeah, that it'll never be enough. She was like, anything we try to do today, any way that we try to honor Gavin, it will never be enough, because he was just like infinity in his light.
Are you one of those people that's able to live in the moment and live fully and embrace, and you talk about, the Bobby Darin story, it all sort of ties together, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to?
Well, Bobby, it's funny because like it's like you said, it could be dark, that piece of his story. It could be a kind of like tragic, dark thing of death always looming. One of the things that, as I've been reading and observing him in clips, this sort of like theory I've developed in thinking about him so much is like what he was so present as a performer. And part of me wonders if that constant negotiation of his health, like sometimes you see him on stage and he's doing this, and it's to get the blood flowing to his hands. That level of presence that it takes to stay alive, to keep the blood moving through your hands, to be able to deliver the music for the audience in a way smaller, like less intense way, when you're doing 8 shows a week and you're sick. Sometimes like when we're sick and we're performing, they are the most, for me, educational performances, because I have to become super aware of how I'm singing and what I'm able to do. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, when I get healthy again, realizing I'm pushing so hard there, I don't have to push. It's like such a education when you perform and you're sick, of like where your energy is put when you're healthy, and the extraneous energy that you have that you can't just do with great ease when you're sick. That's like a way smaller version of dying and your heart being really weak. But I think Bobby lived a kind of enormous version of that at every moment of his life.
But we're really telling a story of joy, and right, it's a concert and it's a celebration.
Exactly. I find it inspiring. What I hope and what I feel when I am inside of the material is this like deep, profound passion for life. Even to feel I'm taking drum lessons, I'm taking piano lessons, and to feel those like pathways in the brain grow, and to feel that kind of expansion is so thrilling and makes me feel alive and makes me feel grateful to be alive.